Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Brune, CEO of Lever One. I've been with Lever One for over 14 years.
And I'm Chad Braymer, president here at Lever One. I've been with the company for almost 7 years.
We wanted to take some time to talk through Lever One, the work we do, and what we're seeing in the PEO space.
And share some perspective from working with businesses and teams every day.
Thanks for joining us. All right, Chad, how did you end up in the PEO world, which is not a typical career path?
I'd spent my entire career at an adult learning company. So really had a great opportunity straight out of college. I was able to progress with the company and became COO. And honestly, whenever that career ended for me, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I kind of thought back over my career and the parts that I enjoyed the most. And where I really had fun. And I had fun at a small growing stage within the company. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but also just very fulfilling to be able to make changes and see the impact of those changes. And so that's what I really enjoyed about Lever One. Whenever I first saw it, it reminded me a lot of that time in my life where I was having fun. It was great. It might not have been the time where I made the most money or anything like that, but it really was the most fun I had in my career. So fortunate enough to be able to do something that I just really wanted to do at that point in my life. So that's what kind of led me here was, your team, the owner group with Lever One was just what reminded me of my early part of my career.
So it was kind of the stage and fast-growing company versus the industry?
Yes, exactly. It was that was it entirely. Had a great team already functioning, and growing. It's exciting. It's a lot more fun to be on the growth side of things than the downside of things. So that was what drew me into the industry and what I really appreciate about the opportunity. So. But you were already going for a long time before I'd even started. So what was the original vision for Lever One?
Yeah, we own a group of marketing and technology companies and had for 20 some years at that point. And our ownership group is very entrepreneurial. We were starting additional marketing companies, buying direct mail company. We owned a real estate company, and we even built out a CrossFit gym and ran that for several years. So a very entrepreneurial group. And we decided to start a PEO for our holding company. We thought that was going to be a really effective way for us to manage our owned sister companies, keeping them all completely independent, but utilizing the scale for the benefits and the economies of scale for the larger group. So that's how we fell into it in 2012. I always say we fell into being in PEO, but we also fell in love with it, right? It was such a great business model and industry that I had not even heard of prior to us forming one. Just helping other small business owners. We all share so many of the same challenges. And it's just been a really, really fun industry to be a part of.
That's one of my favorite things. Every day is different with as many different clients as we have. You never know what the next day will bring. The small business challenges for a construction firm is much different than professional services firms. So it really does keep you on your toes with regards to what's going on in the industry right now.
So what's something people misunderstand about what you do?
I think typically the compliance side is something that people either gloss over or really it's boring. It's not fun to dig through all of those regulations and make sure you're understanding those and applying them appropriately. So I think not necessarily misunderstand, but really don't want to understand. That's our job to help keep them compliant, and they're relying on us to do it. So, really trying to foresee those problems before it comes up to the business owner itself, trying to be proactive instead of reactive with any of those issues for our clients. I think that's one of those kind of overlooked areas for our services. So how do you keep interested in the industry? I mean, it's been 14 years for you. So what keeps you keeps you driven in the industry?
Well, it's evolved over 14 years. And luckily, we have grown to the point where we've been able to bring on people like you and other subject matter experts to really take on the nuts and bolts of the organization. And so I have the ability now and have over the last probably 5 years to really spend my time as a partner to the other business owners that we serve. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of that, right? So initially I was staying up late getting us compliant and registered in different states. And I've done all of those pieces. So I have an appreciation for them. But I really have enjoyed the ability to evolve in my career as we've been able to bring subject matter experts into the team to where I can meet with other business owners, talk to them about the battle wounds, the war wounds, the things
Sure.
we've seen and help them be successful. That's really fascinating. And as you said, there's so many different industries, so many different types of businesses. I'm learning something at every meeting and I get a lot of fulfillment out of that. So it doesn't get tiring or old at this point.
That's one of my favorite parts is the strategic meetings with each client because every business is different. It's really nice to have those meetings with them so we understand their business at the depth that we need to, so we can be a good strategic partner and support them. If they're in a high growth mode, if they're looking at hiring remote workers, what states would be most advantageous, all of those pieces that, we can help them. We've got more experience than they do, and truly be a part of their overall strategy. Those clients that take advantage of that, I feel really, really strong about the relationship. We can support them much, much better knowing exactly what they're doing and what their plans are for the future. So that's been a great added bonus to me for level one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even today, we're looking at a client's medical plan and they're trying to make some comparisons and draw some conclusions. And I can involve Chad, who just looks at it for a minute and points out multiple basic things that, that aren't called out if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, if you haven't seen that 300 times over for 300 different clients. And so that value, as you mentioned, it's worth a lot to our clients for sure.
Yeah, I think that separates a great PEO from an average one. That's exactly what we're doing. Proactive. We're accessible. They know they'll get a hold of us, and then owning the issue. If there's an issue, we'll take it. We'll own it. We'll help them overcome it. And then bring problems to them before they actually surface. So they know, okay, we're on the ball. We are talking to them before that became an issue in their company. So I think that really separates what we do from a lot of other PEOs. So what do you think clients care about the most?
When we start talking with a client, they're usually drawn in by a solution. They have a tax issue that they understand now they need some additional support, or they have an HR need for some additional support in their business, or benefits are really expensive and they're looking for other solutions. That's usually what draws them in. But our long-term clients say it's that strategic partner that gives them that peace of mind. It doesn't matter what comes in the mail today, whether it's from the IRS or the Department of Labor or for some disgruntled employee. They now have a partner that's going to take care of that for them. And that peace of mind, like you said, allows them to focus on what they do best. And I hear that time and time again, that is what they find the greatest value of the relationship.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I think in our business, I believe our clients are valuing that consulting approach where we're actually talking to them a lot. I don't think a good fit for most of our companies are looking for the lowest cost solution. They're looking for the best solution. So, if we're not a good fit for a particular client, it's typically because they're just looking at the straight up price. They're not valuing necessarily the services that we're doing.
What mistakes would you say you see businesses make when trying to manage these services internally? Because usually when the mistake happens, you get the call.
Typically it's because they don't understand, right? They just didn't know that rule existed. They might have misclassified employees. Could be just payroll errors on what is non-tax versus taxed on the deductions, that sort of thing. They just don't know, right? And so it's not a problem until it's a problem, and then all of a sudden it's a very expensive problem because they just didn't realize they were out of compliance. So those are the kind of the standard ones that I see, within new clients coming on board. Now, hopefully we keep them compliant while they're with us so that they don't have those surprises. But that's typically what I see whenever they first come on board. Has that client expectation changed, do you feel like, in the last 5 to 10 years?
The only expectation I think that's changed is the adoption of virtual meetings. Truly, and we're a local Midwestern business. We love to be on site with our clients, and our clients value that. But even things like medical open enrollment, which truly 12 years ago, there was a lot of paper and pencil. There was a lot of come to a meeting and fill out your enrollment forms on paper. Even new hire paperwork 5 years ago was still not uncommon to be done in paper and pencil. So I think the expectation now to adopt the technology and to do a lot of those employee paperwork related activities virtually has really changed and become adopted. In terms of, let's say, response time, taking care of things with high level of sensitivity, no, I'd say that's 100% still the same.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
I agree.
So Chad, we always say like lever one is white glove, very boutique, very hands-on. But a lot of people can say that, and that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. What does great service really look like in this space?
Well, to me, our team, I believe it's being there for the client, at whatever level they need. So we meet them where they are. If that means we're in office helping them through a difficult termination, then we're there. We're there with them. If that is pure consultative work on their employee handbook, and that's all they really are looking for out of us, we meet them at that level. So if they don't really need to hear from us for a couple of months, then we stay out of their hair. We're not bothering them with that. But really meeting them where they are, and then being proactive on the front end, where we're actually pointing out issues before they turn into a problem. It's just an issue at that point. The business owner themselves seem to appreciate that a lot, where we're actually bringing them these things. They didn't have to think about it. We're not only bringing them, okay, here's an issue, here's your solution to the issue, or here's your 3 possible solutions. How do you want to take care of it? So truly being that consultative HR professional for them, and being able to talk to them about more than just the HR side. If they've got business issues, we're entrepreneurial enough to where we can actually advise on some of those things and say, oh, okay, and give them industry best practices. If they're wondering, are my benefits programs comparable? How do I stack up against other peer groups here in Kansas City? Providing that insight to them at times seems to be a really big service for them. So what would you say that we do differently than other PEOs that might be high touch, relationship driven, that sort of thing?
Sure. I think that many PEOs market themselves as a SaaS company, as a great technology that's going to work better and more efficiently than what a client has today. We saw that as an opportunity, especially I think in the Midwest, where I know entrepreneurs here, and a lot of them, the last thing they want to do today is learn a new SaaS company so they can process new hire paperwork and payroll.
Yeah.
Lever one utilizes the same level and the kind of the cutting edge SaaS technology that exists for payroll and HRIS systems. However, our team will log in and manage that workload for our clients as an extension of their HR team. So we don't train our clients. We certainly are happy to and can train them on how to do it all themselves. But many of them are like, oh, you mean I never have to log in? Great. And just rely on us to pull reports, pull data, take their data and process it correctly, kind of take care of the business for them, just as they would if they had a payroll manager in-house or an HR manager in-house. They would count on that person to utilize the technology. And that's the bridge that Lever One provides for our clients. I'd say that is by far, we see that time and time again. We partner with a lot of other PEOs. We're very active in our industry and respect all the different types of PEOs that are out there. They're all valuable and serve a purpose, but we definitely attract, and our clients highly value that we are not trying to train them on how to be experts at processing payroll.
No, I agree. I think that's the part that from our end, I'm most proud of is the team, right? The staff that goes out and takes, these guys are it's just like they are an extension of their clients' HR or payroll. They truly feel invested in these companies that they're servicing. And you build the team, you build the culture to drive that. And it's contagious. It really is within the company. Really proud of how the team reacts whenever a client comes to us with issues, as well as their response whenever the client's going through some struggles. They are truly a part of each one of these teams, even though they might have 50, 60 different teams that they're on. They feel a connection to each and every one of those.
So on the flip side, what's something that we intentionally, or you, I should say, has intentionally chosen not to do in our business, probably despite me even suggesting it and putting it at the top of your inbox? What do you draw the line on things that we're not going to do?
Well, I don't know that we draw a line on things we're not going to do. I mean, say yes. That's always one of the first things out the door. We always say yes. But I think the piece that we really don't fit the mold is that high volume. Really, you're just looking for the best price you can get. There's plenty of huge companies that you can go and get an HR or a payroll system much cheaper than you're going to get our service. So if you don't really value the services that we're bringing to the table, that's generally not a good fit. You're not going to necessarily be happy with your price. You're not valuing the service that we're providing. So it's just not a good fit between what the client wants and what we do, because our natural inclination is going to be that full service. We take care of everything. We handle this for you. And if you're not looking for that, or you're not interested in that, well, that's probably not a good fit. So we don't win a lot of that business. So I don't know that we say no to it, but we just don't win a lot of it.
Well, and I would say we tried early on to have like a tiered, very low touch product. But the reality is, like you said, if we get a tax notice, we're not going to be like, sorry, we're not going to tell you, or you've got an injured worker. Sorry, you didn't pay for that extra service. That just it's against our core values. So no matter how, scaled back a customer wants, the reality is we're going to provide the service either way. So we just ended up really, like you said, not servicing that type of business.
And on the flip side of that, well, I mean, where do you think we do the best? What does our ideal client look like in your eyes?
Our ideal client counts on us to do the work. If they have it all, they run it in their numbers, then they give it to us and they're just trying to double down on everything. And maybe they only came because of the medical plan, or they only came or, for some reason. If they really don't value or benefit, like you said, the HR advice, if a client doesn't even run something by us, and then down the road we get some sort of lawsuit or claim and this happens, and we're like, why would you not have even told us about this? We could have helped you. We could have drafted different documents that helped protect you. And they just don't want our advice. They don't necessarily want that partnership. That is not ideal.
Yeah,
so I'd
absolutely.
say not only is it best for everyone if they loop us in and find the value in what we have to offer, but they're certainly going to see better results if they do that as well. So it's the perfect client isn't any industry. It isn't any size. It's the entrepreneur who knows, I'm going to grow my business and you take care of the payroll, HR, and benefits. And together we're going to be super strong and move super fast, because they are not going to be bogged down by that day to day. And that's the work that we pick up. What I was going to ask, how you've been able to maintain culture as the company grew. I mean, I think it's probably doubled since you came into a leadership role. What's worked well?
I usually bow out of the culture. I kind of feel like it's our job to set the table, and then the group kind of sets the culture. So I'd go back to the team itself. They're the ones that are building the culture. We can do only so much. You can give them a budget for, office parties and different things, but without the participation, without the happiness committee deciding the things that they want to do to make everyone's day a little bit brighter, I don't think we'd be successful. You can't push a rope. They're in charge of it. They need to, bring that on. Our best thing is just to set the table and have some basic outlines on things that we can do. I think the barbecues and the employee breakfasts where owners are in there cooking, all those are great. I mean, I think that's a great tradition and certainly adds to it. But ultimately, it's our people. So the better we do at identifying those people that fit the culture that we want, that work hard, play hard atmosphere, the better the culture becomes. And then identifying those that just don't fit. If they don't fit, it's not a good fit for the employee or the company. Best to part ways and where they're both going to be more happy. We're happier employees.
I would say just because we do have access to so many other businesses and how they're structured, we do a really good job of sitting around a table with our leadership team or with our individual teams. And in a world of remote working, that can be challenging. But I would say even just prioritizing that time.
Yeah.
Chad and I have a leadership team meeting once a week, or we have an executive team every other week. We have one-on-ones. And I that is so ingrained in the culture and the world that I've worked in the last 20 plus years. But many, many businesses just don't have time, or because they're remote, don't prioritize that sitting down time. And that's really where we iron out some of our core value and culture type. I mean, I think that's really what builds the culture, is that we are prioritizing the leaders to sit down and solve problems and get our act together and get aligned. And that filters through. And I do think that has worked. And I'm surprised how many people do not have those regular, weekly sit down meet. Sometimes they just don't meet at all. And it's just, you can imagine how fragmented then culture might become.
Absolutely. And that's actually coming on board here. That's one of the ways that, my leadership styles changed a bit over the course has been, taking that lead where you are delegating more. You're not doing as much, but you are delegating more and making sure that it's getting done. Inspect what you expect, sort of thing, with the leadership group, and really giving them possession of their section of the company. They own it. Everyone knows what everyone else is doing, so you can function as a team, because you are sharing that information for the whole leadership team to understand what challenges payrolls has this week, or accounting is struggling with X, Y, or Z. Everyone's on board and knows, and then can support that with their teams. You don't have the back and forth between the teams, and that's really strong. I think that's something unique within the company.
Where do you think the PEO industry is headed in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh gosh, the big players, are still gobbling up a lot of the PEO space. I'd like to think that the high touch model that we've built won't fit that mold, right? It's what you're valuing for our service is a little different, but that's that seems to be this split right now. Is you're going to self-service models where you're really leveraging technology and getting all your answers from AI and going that route, or you've got an actual person on the other side, or you're talking to your team, you're actually having a conversation with another person that has a different viewpoint or has a different perspective than you. So I think we're going to continue to see kind of either specialization or commodity approach. One of the two. You're either going very high touch and consultative, or you're going really low touch, but very, very efficient, super efficient, and get most of your questions answered again from AI.
Payroll is archaic, and there is much room for technology advancement in just the concept of paying people. And I think that's really exciting. And so I think the fact that we can now offer any day pay,
Uh-huh.
earn it and take it, don't wait for the archaic administrative process to catch up with you.
Uh-huh.
So I think that gig work kind of mentality and speed of pay is really cool. And I think the technology is coming that will really make that concept move really quick. I also think banking and the movement of money is advancing. And like right now, we can still process payments through the bank same day. That's only entered the market in the last 5 years. And so seeing that money movement through the cash apps and the different even potentially, Bitcoin and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that's in our immediate future, but you can just see that the transfer of money and the processing of payroll is advancing. And so I look forward to seeing where that technology goes, because I think the process is very outdated. So I think those are all the exciting sides of what we can do. I agree with you. The human touch in HR, yes, Google your research, but then you still want to run it by an expert before you pull the trigger, is super critical. And I think the future of healthcare, I don't see, at least in the next 5 years, that group healthcare and private healthcare in the United States changing. That's my prediction. We can come back to this in 5 years, but I think that's pretty consistent in the next 5 years. Looking forward to the future when that is disrupted, but right now I think it's pretty secure and pretty stable in the path that it's moving for the next 5 years.
Well,
That's
and just the changing in the market, that's been remarkable since COVID with all the remote employees. You've got companies that never would have considered having a multi-state workforce out there. What's going on? The technology is going to have to be leveraged in order to keep up to speed with every state and locale's ever-changing regulations regarding employees, what you have to do, how you have to comply, different taxes that you have to, pay in those jurisdictions, and then how do you apply it across your payroll system? We're going to have to lean on that technology in order to keep up with all of these changing regulations. So that's kind of one of the things I think clients are going to really have to pay attention to going forward as they build that very diverse, very distributed workforce throughout the country. How do you keep up with all of that? Obviously, that's just an impossible task for a small business to try and do. So I think that's one of the things our clients really have to be paying attention to. And I think that's how we can help serve them, is doing that job for them, keeping them up to speed on all that.
So as Lever One and Helpside have gotten to know each other, what stood out to you about how each of us operate?
I really appreciated the Helpside kind of family atmosphere within, from just the internal corporate structure felt really good. That's very, outstanding tenure across the board at Helpside. They have more people that are 20 plus year veterans in the PEO industry than I even knew existed. So that's incredible. But does point to, treating your employees well. And that was, to me, the greatest parallel between Lever One and Helpside, why that was a great match for the companies, is that belief in their employees and taking care of the people that take care of the business. So I thought that was a perfect match whenever, you chose to partner with Helpside. That worked out really, really well.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw some of the tenure of the staff, I was blown away. It's so impressive. And I would also say, I think what's really neat about both Lever One and Helpside is we are community-based businesses. As you mentioned, Helpside's family owned, but they built their business in their community. And we have so much pride at Lever One of not only being a Kansas City-based company, but of the Kansas City culture and the
Yeah.
business community that has supported us all 14 years, sung our praises when we're not in the room, recommended us, referred us, and truly helped us grow our business. Um, it's really second to none. I really still can't even believe how much of our business comes from other people talking about us in our
Mhm.
community, because not only do they like the work that we're doing, but they care because they know how hard we're working. Just as we hope that their business is successful, we care about their
Mhm.
business outcomes and their success. We have felt that tenfold on return, and I think Helpside has done that in their space in Utah. We've done it here in Kansas City, and now together we're able to leverage that and replicate that now into new markets. And both of us were positioned to start doing that in other markets nationally. And together, we're going to be able to do that
Yeah.
in a really powerful way.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I mean, with the alignment and the values and kind of our service philosophies, that works out really well. The exciting part for me is seeing how we do things differently. You know, a PEO is a PEO, or if you've seen one PEO, you've seen one PEO. Those are kind of industry standbys that people say. So it is exciting to see they're very successful. They've done things really well. How do they do that? And then, and vice versa from their end. Okay, how do we do that? It's remarkable to me how different two PEOs that align on service and values and all those things will still have, okay, they've got a different way of going about it. Here's how they do that. So trying to take the best of both worlds and really, improve the lives of our clients, I think is a huge opportunity for us with Helpside right now.
So, you've been part of now two really fast scaling companies. What's next for you personally and professionally?
Personally, I've got two granddaughters right now. So grandbabies take up a lot of our time. But that piece and family, obviously, just getting bigger, as the kids come on and are getting married, all of those things. So that's the exciting part from a personal standpoint. Professionally, I enjoy what I'm doing. I think this has been great. Want to continue within the industry as long as possible. I feel like if I slow down too much, my brain will turn to mush. So I really don't want to give myself too many excuses there. So really enjoy what I'm doing right now. So hope to continue doing that.
That's good to hear. I was going to say, I don't think my email requests to you have slowed down. I think I was sending you a benefit quote late last night to look at. So I'm glad you still want that work. But personally, I have, as an entrepreneur growing a startup company, I had 3 children while I was growing that company in the first 10 years, which um, yeah, I am really proud about. And so, but they're still at home, still in school, and so that's really where I spend all of my time outside of work is kids activities, carpooling, and sports events, which I love. It's a really fun time in my personal life. Professionally, I'm really excited about the opportunity to continue to grow Lever One. It had been on our radar for I think 3 years in our business plan, growing into new markets, and we had started and done fairly well, but truly without all of the resources that were necessary to do it quickly and to do it at scale, and to start moving at the pace in which we want to move. And so I'm excited to be working with Helpside. We've already expanded and made a remarkable amount of hires in the last 2 months that are going to help us expand our footprint. And so I'm really excited to be part of that and expand our team beyond the markets we're in today.
Yeah, I think our strengths kind of complement each other in that you from the sales side, obviously on this presentation, you can tell who's more comfortable in front of the camera and who's not. Uh, but from a back end perspective, I think I deal with a lot of the operational pieces. So I think that they kind of complement each other. We've been able to continue that. So I'm that's great that we're going to continue to do that with this organization, where we can both concentrate on the pieces that we're strongest at. At least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think back, 5, 6 years ago when we started working together. I don't know if it was that obvious at that point. I knew we had talked, you had a really great skill set. We were creating a new position for you. We were growing and needed someone with your business savvy and strategy to come in and take, a piece of the business and really help run it and grow it. But over the years, it evolved to me being the dreamer, let's just go way too fast, way too hard, way too expensive, and you to be pulling me back down to ground and making sure we had a really profitable, smart, strategic business that was going to have longevity. And that those two juxtapositions worked really, really well. But you probably got angry with me, but I don't really think I ever got angry with you. Because you tell me, no, that doesn't make sense. We shouldn't discount that. And I'd be like, no, I guess you're probably right. That would make good business sense. And it has really paid off in the long run.
Yeah, I think that pushes both ways, right? I mean, we actually can do that. I didn't think we could, but we really could actually do that. So the dreamer side really pushes the kind of very cautious conservative piece along in that. So that has worked out really, really well, I feel. What are you most energized? I mean, we've kind of talked about like Helpside, opportunities there. Where do you think is the next big thing for Lever One?
I think what we're doing in Kansas City is so unique, and you've explained that. I think figuring out how you replicate that in additional markets at the pace and speed at which we are going is going to be really interesting. I'm also really energized at hearing, and I probably don't act like it, but I really do like to hear different strategies than what we thought was going to work when it was just us at Lever One, because there is certainly a different approach to growing business and growing new markets. And I am actually very excited to see how somebody else's way works out. And it's not one way or the other way. I just mean like we didn't necessarily know exactly what other, how Helpside was planning to do it, or how or what the strategy was going to be, and the fact that we can work together on that and here, get 2.5 times the people giving different opinions and different strategies and different tactics and maybe even backgrounds of growing into new markets. I'm actually really energized about hearing and learning.
Yep.
What about you?
Me as well. That is it. I think we're going to learn a lot from the Helpside team. With the level our team has a lot of kind of people wearing multiple hats, and they've got several more of their team that are really deep dive on, either benefits or 401k or payroll. So it will be interesting to see how that functions, where our group fits in, how we go about that. So that is exciting. That's exciting times for Lever One, certainly. Thanks for taking the time to listen.
We hope this gave you a little more insight into Lever One and how we think about supporting businesses and their people.
And just some perspective from what we're seeing day to day.
We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon.